Hello, it's good to have you back here on the Glory and Praise Show on Off The Pulpit here on Catholic SG Radio. My name's Andre Archak. He's Keith Nibrana.
Hello. And if this is the first time you're listening to Off The Pulpit, where have you been? Like, seriously. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much for checking us out. And really, if this is your first time, this is a program where we get members of our clergy to come and discuss and share matters of faith with us.
And in fact, it's a real opportunity for us to get to know our priests better and perhaps hear their personal perspectives or their own faith journeys on the topic that we're discussing.
Now, on the 9th of November, we, the Church, will be celebrating a rather unusual feast. It is the feast day of the dedication of the St John Lateran Basilica, which is in Rome. So what is so important about this basilica in Rome, and what has it got to do with us here in Singapore?
Okay, so to help us answer some of these questions, and in fact, a little bit more later on, stay on and you'll find out. Let's welcome to Off The Pulpit, Father Adrian Yeo. Father,
hi.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're most welcome. Now, Father is not only the parish priest of Holy Family Church. He's got a couple of other appointments in the Archdiocese. He's also an associate judge at the Ecclesiastical Tribunal for the Catholic Archdiocese of Singapore. He's also a spiritual director of the Catholic Lawyers Guild, the Singapore Catholic Deaf Community, as well as the Legion of Mary Singapore Senatus. Thank you, Father, again for taking time.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. Let's get this conversation on the road. Now, first of all, help us out and tell us more about this dedication of St. John Lateran. And in particular, who is St. John Lateran, or what is St. John Lateran?
Okay, first, St. John Lateran, the church, we consider it first as Mother Church. It is the basilica or the cathedral of the Pope in Rome. Going against popular belief, St. Peter's is not Mother Church. St. Peter's is, yes, one of the major basilicas. It is where the Vatican is. It is where the Pope lives. But the cathedral of the Pope is John Lateran. And why is it called John Lateran? It is because it sits on one of the 7 hills of Rome. Rome is built on 7 hills.
Right.
And John Lateran is on one of the 7 hills, the Lateran hill that it sits on. And why Lateran? It's because of some rich family, in the early Roman Empire.
Right.
So it's called John Lateran. And it is named after St. John. John the Evangelist and John the Baptist.
Right.
That's why it's called the Archbasilica.
And so St. John Lateran is not a person.
No person.
It is this Archbasilica, which is the cathedral of the Holy Father.
Yeah. Cathedral of Rome.
Also the Cathedral of Rome.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's why, that's why we celebrate the feast. The Cathedral of Rome, it is the Mother Church. Why we say Mother Church? Maybe just to give you a little bit of understanding. Many of you all drink kombucha, right?
Yes.
You have your scobies, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Your mother's SCOBY.
Oh, okay. That's a nice analogy. Okay. Right.
And so, John Lateran is seen as like this Mother SCOBY. It is the main church where all other church gets its foundation from.
Right.
It's from there that, missionaries, and from there the church goes out to the rest of the world.
So in a sense, I suppose if we put it another way, it's like the vine And then the rest of the churches are the shoots.
The shoots, yes.
Right. So all in that same vine.
All from that same vine. Or if you want to, you also can understand it from a little bit about the history of the church. In the past, where churches are just basically one church in a city, and from there, everybody goes to that one church. But as Christianity grew, as Christianity became almost like the state religion of the Roman Empire after Constantine,
Right.
more people became Christians, and so that one small church in the town is not big enough, and slowly different churches grew from the cathedral. And the cathedral, where the seat of the bishop is, it's important because it's not only where the seat of faith is, but at Sunday masses, just interesting facts. Sunday mass, or when you attend mass, every time you see the priest breaks a small piece
Yes.
of host and puts into the wine, right?
That's right.
At the Lamb of God. And that small piece is called the fermentum.
Right. The mingling.
The mingling. But the fermentum is a sign of unity. So back then, when they started to have these small churches, all masses would start at about the same time.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
And then at the Lamb of God, the bishop's mass, he will break small pieces.
Wow.
And riders on horseback or some runners will take this small piece
Wow.
and go to the different churches.
My word. Really on horseback?
On horseback, if it's far enough.
Wow.
It's a sign of unity. It's a sign of oneness. And you can see here, like the church, like the mother church feeding the other churches.
Oh, that's
So the idea of this mother church is very, very important.
You're giving me goosebumps, Father. Really? I mean, yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
these small things that we do sometimes we don't understand.
Yeah.
We
Okay, the
don't.
mingling I understood.
Yeah, so, so now we say it's the mingling of the body and blood of Christ.
That's right.
But
I
it
didn't
is a
know this.
sign of unity
Okay.
between the different from the children churches with the mother church.
And also, I guess it makes sense because Christ is the head
Head the head and we are the body.
and we are the body.
And so mother church is always important. That's where we come from. Each church comes from there.
Right.
And if you really want to see, in Singapore, different churches all come from the cathedral.
That's correct. And that is absolutely very true, particularly here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was studying in UK, I used to go and visit different towns because it's so big and there's lots to see. But I remember this friend of mine, a local, when she would bring me around, she would tell me, there's some places where there are churches, some small towns, but they're not a proper town if they do not have a cathedral, And she said that in terms of the history of it, a lot of towns sprung forth, or the whole life of the town actually was built around the cathedral. So there's a cathedral that is set up, sort of like a base, and then slowly a neighborhood forms. All sorts of things start to happen from there. Community activities start to flow from there, and then other churches come out in that town, and then it's okay. This is a proper town.
Right. Wow.
So, yeah.
But it makes so much sense now.
Yeah, so it's celebrating, in a way, your mother, the birthday of your mother.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't play, it's not really played up, the feast, but it is important.
Yeah. I can imagine, of course. Yeah. What celebration sometimes at home, right, is very often actually it's around the mother. Very often. right? Whether or not it's her birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is this, that it's where everybody is given life.
Right. For the benefit of our listeners, Father, so just explain why the Catholic Church then celebrates this dedication of this St. John Lateran Basilica as such a major feast.
It's the mother of all mother churches.
Right. Even though we have like St. Mary Major, and we have also the dedication of St. Peter and St. Paul, right?
These are basilicas, important basilicas.
Right.
But the importance of the Cathedral of Rome is seen as, higher than all these, because it's not only where the seat of faith is, it's where everything comes from.
Right.
Incidentally, when the Pope has to make pronouncements, the dogmas and all that,
Right.
it's done in John Lateran because the cathedral is there.
Right, yes. And the cathedral, I mean, for our listeners, is the seat, right?
The throne.
The throne, his throne, the sede,
Sede.
right, in Latin, right? And so that's where the Holy Father pronounces
Yeah.
all
It's
doctrine.
not in
Not in St.
Peter's,
Peter's.
and all that.
So you see, this is something that not many of us know very well.
Yeah.
But also, again, just to understand that there is a memorial for, St. Mary Major, the
Yes.
dedication of St. Mary Major and St. Peter and Paul. But this is a feast day.
It's a feast day.
Yeah, and it's throughout the entire Universal Church.
Universal Church, it also, if it falls on a Sunday, it replaces the Sunday.
It replaces the Sunday. Wow, okay.
So it's a very high feast. It's so important because really, as I said, we are celebrating Mother Church, and that's where everything should be centered around.
Yes.
And not with popular belief, St. Peter's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's tourism is the issue in a sense.
It's the whole
It's the whole
thing.
The whole thing, and it doesn't help that whenever we portray about the church, we show St. Peter's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the John Lateran is not as grand as
the front of it also is not
very
so
plain.
great.
Yeah. Father, I've got a question. So if this feast is so important, maybe one of the reasons why to us, it hasn't really sunk in that this is something so significant is because we don't really do anything to commemorate it here. So apart from going to Mass, and then hearing about this wonderful basilica, is there anything else we can do to, share in this feast, or anything to be really conscious of and maybe pray for the day, anything of that sort?
Well, it's to be conscious of the church. And here, as we celebrate this feast of really Mother Church, to be conscious of, first thing, I think, the universality of the church. That the church is truly universal, and everything, we go anywhere, the church is present.
Yeah.
But yet, for us, the church is one.
Yeah. And that's
And
the
everything
beauty.
comes from there.
Yeah.
I feel like our parishes need to organize something, celebrate. Because like feast day, parish feast day, we have feast day.
The problem
something
also is we celebrate feast days, but we don't also celebrate the dedication of our own churches.
Oh, that's true.
Although we do celebrate on the 14th of February the dedication of the cathedral,
Yeah, but then that is also
of our cathedral here. Yeah.
that is also very minor. It's not in the mind of our people.
That's right. It's very localized in that sense.
It's not even localized.
I mean, it's
How many
in
of us
the,
realize 14th of February?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we think only Valentine's Day.
That's-
No.
Yeah. But in the cathedral itself, the liturgy would be for the dedication.
Yeah, but the whole diocese is supposed to celebrate that day as well.
So you have parish feast day. This one is Archdiocese
So
feast day.
we put a lot of emphasis on parish feast days, but we don't put emphasis on the dedication of the church. We never celebrate that. Most of our parishes never celebrate the dedication of our churches.
Is it something that you think we should consider down the road?
We should consider to mark that day, because that's the day where technically the church
It's founded, isn't it?
officially open for worship and dedicated to God on that day. You know, if we attend the dedication celebrations, we see that's the day where the altar is blessed,
Yes.
consecrated actually.
Yes.
You know, with
Consecration, yeah.
elaborately, you know, with chrism, with
It's a beautiful
incense
ceremony.
and all that.
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, okay, so something to think about.
Indeed, if you're on your
Also-
PPC chair of your parish, something to consider.
Also, you know, technically, all churches should have the 12 foundation stones,
Yes, correct.
12 crosses.
Yes.
And on the feast of the dedication of the church, candles on those should be lit
Right.
to remember
The foundation, right,
foundation.
of the church.
And just like that, the song comes to mind.
The church is one foundation.
So I should not sing, sorry. The
But-
church
but-
is one foundation. Just the song.
But see, I think if you really look at the words, it really actually is very powerful. And what it truly means. And dear friends, sisters and brothers, if you're listening and tuning in to Catholic SG Radio, thank you so much for joining us. Today we're speaking to Father Adrian Yeo, and we're talking about the feast of the dedication of St John Lateran Basilica in Rome, and its significance of it being Mother Church for us, right? We will find out a little bit more, actually, as we go along.
Now, Father, speaking about sacred spaces, we'd like to take this opportunity to now refer to a sacred space that was, created about 100 years ago in an area in Singapore with really good food called Katong. Can you please tell us about this sacred space? I'm not sure we know the name of it, and what has become of it.
Yes.
Well, not this year 100 years, but next year 100 years. The chapel in East Coast, the Holy Family Chapel, opened its doors. And that's where, you get Chapel Road, Chapel Close.
That's right.
It's named after that. So the chapel opened 100 years ago to serve a community of people. Basically, people with means.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in those days, the East Coast, yes, it was a coconut plantation and all that, but also a good majority of those with means had their weekend homes there.
Right. Because it was near the beach.
It was near the beach. So 100 years ago, that you remember we said that, about the cathedral sending out.
Yes.
So the cathedral opened up that chapel and sent priests on the weekend to celebrate Mass there.
Okay. Obviously, yeah, because a chapel does not have a resident priest.
No resident priest.
Correct.
Right.
And there is, because basically there is no one resides there during the week. And it was basically for the brothers, the LaSalle brothers,
who were in
had their
St.
holiday
Pat's.
bungalow where St. Pat's was, and the IJ sisters.
Yes. So Katong Convent, St. Pat's. But were they the actual reason for that chapel growing?
One of the reasons.
One of the reasons.
But because there was a good number of people living on a weekend there,
Right.
and so opened the chapel there.
In that sense, right? It's beautiful because the community that grew there was we know very much Eurasian and Peranakan communities.
It was started basically the Eurasians and the Europeans,
Oh,
because they
they were there as
were
well.
there. No, basically
They had the means.
They had the means.
Right, also, yeah,
Okay.
correct.
And slowly, as East Coast grew, because when the church first opened, East Coast Road there's no such thing as East Coast Road.
Right, yeah,
And it was really a kampong. And the houses and all that you see now didn't exist.
yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah, we have to remember that, that it was completely different.
And so as people slowly moved in, the church begin to find, it's only after 10 years after, then the church was built. 10 over years after.
Share with us, Father, the impact that this chapel had on the community.
Well, I believe it would be the focal point for those who live around there, you know, to go on for Sunday masses and all that. And I guess Holy Family was a big impact, because as the Chinese community begin to move in, the Peranakan community starts to move in, and they started converting there. From around there, you know, there and around the Prinsep Street and all that,
Right.
where they come from. But as time went on, that's where people started converting.
Wow.
And this community slowly grew. And if you really see, the East Coast community grew quite rapidly.
Right.
Because after Holy Family,
Right.
they had to open Queen of Peace.
How long after do you roughly know?
Queen of Peace, I think was just after the war. Around
Okay. And Queen of Peace is in Tanjung Katong Road.
Tanjung Katong.
Right.
And that in the past served the Chinese community.
Okay.
So you see, from Mother Church, so Holy Family in a way became Mother Church of the East.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And from there also,
So from Queen of Peace, they opened 2 other churches later.
Our Lady of
Queen
Perpetual
Peace,
Succor.
and St. Stephen's.
That's right. Yes, St. Stephen's.
And then as the community keep growing, then Trinity.
Holy Trinity. But that was much later.
Much later.
When Bedok Tampines grew as
When
well.
Tampines grew.
More so Tampines actually. I wanted to say, for the schools also that sprouted up around eventually, IJ, Katong Convent, and then St. Pat's as well.
Yes.
And then we had St. Stephen's Primary School. And the Canossians also were not very far from there.
The Canossians,
Were next to St. Stephen's, were they?
no.
And
The
St. Stephen's.
IJs opened quite a number. Apart from Katong Convent Primary and Secondary,
Right.
they used to have a primary school at Opera Estate.
Oh, yes. Yes, now I remember.
The Canossians had, before St. Stephen's opened, the Canossians had a school for the deaf. That was a school for the deaf, I think.
Right. Yes, I think you're correct.
It wasn't a full-fledged primary school.
Right, yeah, not yet then. But the community grew
community
there.
was from there.
I see.
So you had also the Good Shepherd Sisters around.
Oh, yes, in Nulla Road area,
Then you have the
the Redemptorists as well. So quite a number of religious communities grew up then. So truly, Holy Family is truly Mother Church of the East Coast.
Like, yeah. By any chance, Father, do you know why it was called Holy Family Chapel, and later Church of the Holy Family.
There's no stories about it.
Apparently, I read that the Schroeder family, the owner, said that he had suggested the name of it being called the Chapel of the Holy Family. Yeah, it was on his suggestion, I understand.
He donated
that plot of land.
The plot of land.
Right. Yeah.
And then slowly the church bought up property around there.
Which explains the interesting layout now.
Yes. Traditional one is just that straight building. The one off where they bought from C Avenue side.
Right.
That was bought around 1970 something.
Oh.
Then they built the extension there.
So that's quite recent, actually.
Yeah.
1970 something. Yeah.
And I believe, Father, you know the history quite well because you and your family used to live in the area and you did go to the church, I understand. Share with us a bit about your memories.
Yeah, what are your memories?
So I was baptized, had my first Holy Communion and confirmation there.
In Holy Family.
Confirmation, must remember, at our time,
Yes.
primary 5.
That's correct. We were 11. What on earth did we understand about confirmation? Well, anyway.
Yeah, so I remember on a weekend, my family, we live off Kun Seng Road, and we would just walk through the kampong and all, and going just to go to church. And then we'll have dinner around and then go back home.
Oh.
And when I was young, I think I remember running around, playing with the candles at the grotto.
No wonder now they started all with no more of all this.
What do you mean by play? Okay,
They gave free candles and the whole thing was just there for you to light and play.
That's okay. I'm sure that wasn't the idea, but well, at least it started something.
Yes. Indirectly, you're praying for many people, many souls of the dearly departed, which we commemorate.
Or they were praying for him, I don't know.
Yeah,
Both ways.
Both. So a lot of good memories, I imagine, at the parish, and also
because you catechism and all that, you're there and you just remember people.
Now,
I just have to say, after confirmation, then I switched to Queen of Peace.
all right.
right, yes.
This family moved.
Right. Okay. But I must ask you now as parish priest, what are your hopes for, you've been there already for a while, what are your hopes for the community now?
Well, my hope is to build a community where everyone is, coming together and worshiping together. We support each other in faith and all that. And so now with all the restrictions taken away, I am trying to find ways and means to do this.
Right. I think COVID didn't help at all.
COVID put a damper on a lot of things. First thing is for me to get to know my people.
Yes. Yes.
So
You had just moved, right?
I just moved. Though I was there 20 over years ago as assistant, but people have passed on or moved on.
Do you feel, a sense of, I suppose a sense of ownership, but that also there's a certain pressure on you to get the community to be, even more active and also responsive now that COVID, the measures have been more or less reduced?
It is my responsibility as
Right.
parish priest to build a community.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm entrusted that community. And really, as what Pope Francis has been saying, you need to smell your sheep.
Indeed.
And so you need to get down and get working with them and to bring people together. There are various things that are functioning. And so it is to keep that going and yet come up with different ideas of how we should be coming together as a community and working together as one. And that's also the reason why, to kick off the celebration, and I hope also for the future, in the sense that our feast day is always on that Sunday of Christmas.
Yes, that's right.
And so with this 100-year thing, I'm just taking the opportunity to move the celebrations to that 11th of November, so that, there's a way of celebrating and marking, properly marking the day.
Yes.
With some spiritual preparations. And then also you can have some material celebrations as well. Because, like now, this time around, I decided that we have a carnival downstairs.
Wonderful.
Close the car park and have a carnival downstairs. And that brings everybody together rather than going to a restaurant and just eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and not only that, I understand your parish is also inviting non-Catholics to come to the parish to find out more. There's a program of some sort. Tell us more.
Okay, so it's nothing new in a sense. This idea was brought up in Immaculate Heart of Mary, and they do that in their Christmas celebration. And I felt that this is a very useful tool, because being church, we are supposed to be evangelizers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as we celebrate Mother Church also, we also have to remember, that the church is primarily evangelizing to bring Christ to the world. And so, as we all know, also our Catholics are, we have gold in our mouths, or diamonds in our mouths, and we hardly open. And so, I also took this opportunity to print invitation cards and tell the parishioners, look, this is an opportunity for us to evangelize.
Yeah.
And you invite, you bring, and we will do the rest.
Wonderful. Now, that's a great idea, Father. And then, just so that you know, dear listeners, Father mentioned Immaculate Heart of Mary. He was parish priest of Immaculate Heart of Mary Church. And so wonderful. Thank you, Father. I mean, that's a wonderful, celebration I think that you're going to have, and we're going to wish you all the best.
Yeah.
And we're also going to tell our listeners something else.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so just in case you missed it earlier, so the actual anniversary of the dedication is on the 11th of November, but on the 12th and 13th, or on the 12th rather, they'll be kicking off this year-long celebrations with a carnival after the evening mass on that Saturday, the 12th of November. And because we couldn't help it, Catholic SG Radio, we're going to have some presents that weekend as well. We're going to join in with the festivities and the celebrations. We'll be there both on the Saturday as well as on the Sunday at the morning masses.
That's right. Father Adrian is very kindly agreed to have us, Catholic SG Radio, as well as our...
They arm twist me.
No, we said we are all one big family.
Yeah, that's
Holy
right,
family,
So Catholic SG Radio will be there. Also our teammates from Catholic News, as well as our other Archcoms team will be there, and hopefully you come down to Holy Family and be part of this lovely celebration. Father, gate crashers, welcome or not?
No such thing as no crashes.
Well, anyway, it's going to be a big celebration, and we know it's going to be fun as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Any final comments before we let you go, Father?
Maybe just coming back again to the feast that we are celebrating.
Yes.
I think it is really important that we should try, if we can, mark the day and remember the church. Remember that, the church has its various roles. And, to feed, to govern.
That's right.
So it's the teaching, the sanctification. So remember what the church does for you as we celebrate Mother Church.
Yeah.
But I think also as we celebrate Mother Church, it's also what we can do as part of that.
Yeah,
of the church.
Having recognized how much we have received,
Absolutely.
how then are we called to share
and give
with others, whether in the community, in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, I think that's also something important, because it's kind of like weighing in my mind nowadays, that the number of us are getting small.
Yes. That's true.
And the local priests are getting old.
Older.
The average age has gone up, from...
It has.
And so, we need to also see what we can do as lay people, what you can do as lay people to help the church.
Yeah.
To bring the church, to the 21st, 22nd century.
In fact, your friends, the last two popes and this present one has said that we are co-responsible, for the church. So, maybe if we can pray, and, our sons and daughters can... I mean, not all of them have to be priests and nuns, but in some way, the mission of the church needs to live on in us as well.
I think how we can equip ourselves.
Yes.
Equip ourselves to bring the faith on.
Yeah.
And there's also time for celebration as well.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. And such a lovely opportunity also to share, the faith in a not very, intrusive sort of, it's a very non-threatening way. Just invite a friend along, and learn more about the faith and process. Thank you so much, Father, for joining us this morning. Thank you. By the way, if you're listening to us on our live stream, Off The Pulpit goes out every Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. The encore broadcast of the program is at 8 p.m. on the same day. And again, the following day, that is Tuesday at 5 p.m. To catch up on this interview at your own time, you can also check out our Off The Pulpit podcasts on our Catholic SG Radio app, on Spotify, or on Apple Podcasts.
Absolutely. Oh, and don't forget, you can also watch this episode of Off The Pulpit on our Archdiocese YouTube channel. So we want to thank Father Adrian Yeo. He's parish priest, as you know, of the Church of the Holy Family. He also holds other appointments in the Archdiocese as Associate Judge at the Ecclesiastical Tribunal for the Catholic Archdiocese of Singapore. He's Spiritual Director of the Catholic Lawyers Guild, the Singapore Catholic Deaf Community, as well as the Legion of Mary Singapore Senatus. Once again, Father, thank you so much for joining us. My name's Andre Archer. He's Keith Nebrana. Tell your friends about us and join us on Catholic SG Radio. God bless you all.